Here we go. Good evening, friends. Let's see if I can get this working. I think... should hear me now, right? I just redid the microphone setup, so everything disappeared. Let's see if I can get this going. There we are. No image. Wait. I know what. One second, the image is coming very soon. Let's see what we're doing here. There we are. Can you see me now? I think there should be... there we go. That should work. I hope you can see me. Is there video? Good evening, Jack. Can you see me now, or is it just sound still? I think it's working now. I'm not sure. I was... hey, Steven. Nice to see you. Nice. Yeah, I was cleaning up here in the office today, and I vacuumed, and then I pulled out all the cables, and I apparently forgot to put the cable for the camera in, so... yeah. Hey, Alex. Oh, nice to see you, Alex. So there was only audio, but I forgot about the... the video. But it works now, so that's the most important. Is everyone having a good week so far? In Sweden, we have... let's just see. It's Thursday today, so tomorrow is Midsummer's Eve. And Midsummer's Eve is a really special day in Sweden. We celebrate it as a... from the olden times, like they had... basically what we do is they build a big cross and they hang... oh, let me just see. Oh, so... they build a big cross, and then you put 2 round circles on the cross. So it's what's called a phallus symbol. It's a giant upside down penis. And then they dance around the penis singing really weird songs. There's one called The Small Frogs, where everyone dances and jumps like frogs. Små grodorna är lustiga att se. And then they sing about the frogs, and everyone wears, not everyone, but a lot of people wear these old Swedish folk dresses. It's really, if you're ever in Sweden for midsummer, it's something you should see. And we eat strawberries. It's tradition, like strawberries, you have to eat it on midsummer. We also eat what we call färskpotatis. This is fresh potatoes, like these small potatoes that are delicious. It's the first potatoes of the year. So it's a way to celebrate nature and fertility. So yeah, all Swedish people, we dance around a giant penis. It's, when you think about it that way, it is kind of funny. But it's a really fun festival also. That's, let's see, yeah, that's tomorrow. So for your week is going to be just as fun, I'm hoping. I see Jack is saying, how far do you have to the sea? It's, let's see, in the sea, we have about, it depends on where we go, like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, how fast you drive. Alex is saying, it's 11:35 in India, I was waiting for you. I think, well, I was 2 minutes late, but is it half an hour different in time to India? It depends on where in India. I think they have half-hour time zones in a few places in India. So it could be that that's why you were waiting, if you were waiting longer than 2 minutes. I guess so. I would think so, at least. It's very interesting, but the internet connection seems to be a bit off today. Hopefully I'll stay for the entire meditation. Today is Thursday, so we don't have guided meditation today. Today we do sitting together, and then afterwards, if you want to, there's a question and answer. If you want to discuss something, those are like the highlights. I think I really enjoy them because there's so much good topics coming up and a lot of things that I wouldn't have thought of myself, but when people ask them, it's just, yeah, it's a fun time. If it's your first time, what we do normally is we take the first 10 minutes or so and we just chat a little bit. Then we start meditating. We meditate for 20 minutes. And after that, we have the question and answer. And today, like I said, today is Thursday. So it's just a time to sit together, because it is somehow much easier to sit with other people, even if it's over the internet, even if it's not in the same place. It seems that when we gather at the same time together, it just works better. We have a few more minutes. Does anyone have anything fun that happened this week that they'd like to share? I had lots of fun stuff today, but I'd like to hear about what other people did also. Just before now, I was actually out and I was building... we got hens, I told last time, and we let them out for the first time today, and it was so cute to see my kids. My son is almost 2, and he just walks up to the hens and he sits down, and he calls them Kike for chicken, but he can't say it, so Kike, and he just pets them like this, and he just adores them. And my daughter the same way, she runs and picks food for them, and it's just, there's something really special about just being in nature with children and animals. Something really nice about it. So for me, it's been a really nice day. One of those days where I don't mind doing a lot of things, but the problem is when you have to do a lot of things on a certain time, because then it becomes stressful. If you work the whole time, that's fine, but working and then having a time limit on things, that I don't like when it's really have to be done by then. That stresses me, or that I find that more difficult at least. So today was one of those days that was just really easy. Alex says, I tried to swim across the river, little fun thing. Was it a big river? Are we talking about the Ganges, or like what kind of river are we talking about? Hopefully it was a smaller river. Fun fact, I was in Ganges in Varanasi in 2008 when there was a total solar eclipse. I think it was 2008, while there was a total solar... So I was on a boat in Varanasi on the Ganges while there was a total solar eclipse. That was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. Oh, we have a new member here, JVB. Hey! Well, actually, right now we are going to start sitting because it's 10 minutes past. If someone has something short to say, unless it's like a really short question, because otherwise we do the meditation first, and then afterwards you're free to ask questions. Let's wait with the questions, actually, because otherwise we'll just get too late, and it's easier if we do it afterwards so we can talk. And sometimes these questions drag on for a long time, and then they lead to something else, and it can take some time. So stay until afterwards, JVB, and we'll do the questions then. What we'll do now is we'll start with what I call the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, which is that we say aloud 5 things that we can see, 4 things that we can touch, 3 things that we can smell, 3 things that we can hear, 2 things that we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And we do that to come back to our senses and really calm down. And if you're like me, you've been out working and just doing stuff and it's warm and you're sweaty. Hey, Niranjan Kalibarajan. I think you've been here before. I recognize you. And you've been out working and doing things, then you're really up. So it takes a little time to get down. And it's a really good exercise just to come back to your senses. And then after that, we'll do, as I said, we just sit together. You can do whatever technique you want to, but we just sit together for 20 minutes. So you can say it out loud with me. The main thing is that you actually stop and notice what you're looking at, what you're touching. If you can, it's good to say it out loud, but if you can't, then it's fine to just say it to yourself. So say it with me. I see the lens cap on the table. I can see a SE logo. I see a light bar. I can see a small window. And I see a spaceship. Those are 5 things that I can see around me. Now I take 4 things that I can touch. So I can touch this carbon fiber copy thing on my telephone. I can touch my toenail, the edge. I can touch this cable for the microphone. And I can touch my hair. Those are 4 things that I can touch. Now we do 3 things that we can hear. And they gradually get So you need to calm down even more to be able to hear and focus a bit more. So 3 things I can hear. I can hear the air conditioner. And I can hear birds chirping outside. And I think I hear the humming of a lamp. That's 3 things that I can hear, and I would do 2 things that we can smell. So I smell warm plastic. And I smell someone's bad breath. And then 1 thing that we can taste. I can taste some kind of spice. Maybe it's curry, I'm not sure. as always, you're free to simply continue sitting and listening. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them. Again, this is not a satsang where I just sit and spit out holy truth. This is a discussion. So if you have questions, we'll discuss them, and it's a living conversation, and we'll just see where it goes. JVB is asking, question, how do I use money and not let money use me? I've come to accept that money can open up beneficial opportunities for me and the people I love, but I don't necessarily want to idolize money. Okay, so this is, it's a good question because it makes it easier for me to say what I do and what I don't do. I don't, like what you're asking now is how people usually ask questions to monks. They ask for life advice on how to become more successful. Like basically Buddhism has become a lot more like personal development. How do I become more successful? How do I have a good relationship? How do I find more happiness in my job, kind of, or something like that? And I never teach people specifically this. I teach how you relate to money, meaning that I'm not really saying how to use money. Well, in a way, I guess I could. But the main thing is that I don't give advice, because I'm not a financial advisor. And I'm not saying that just to keep my back clear from being sued. I say that because if you want financial advice, you should not ask a monk, you should not ask me, you should ask someone who's good in finances. Maybe not someone who sells financial products because they want to sell something to you. So I want to make a distinction that I don't really have advice for what to do, but what I do have advice for is how you can yourself see what would be the best thing for you to do from how you feel towards it. So your question is, how do I use money and not let money use me? I come to accept money can open up beneficial opportunities for me and the people I love, but I don't necessarily want to idolize money. So the main theme that I hear is, how do I relate to money? Meaning, what happens when we idolize money is that we start pulling for, I want more. And I was in sales. And in sales, you have sales goals. So when you reach that sales goal, you get a bonus and you get a commission on that. So then you have the next goal. As soon as you have that one, you go to the next one. And it never stops. You always want more and more. You're never going to be satisfied. And there's what I call distortion in that, meaning that, I feel uncomfortable, but if I can just get there, then I'll be happy. So then you strive for that goal to get that amount of money. And then after I get that amount of money, then I'll be happy. But that doesn't happen, because as soon as you get it, you want more, or you want something else. So if you want to not be used by money, then I recommend that you look at how you feel towards money, meaning that not why do you want the money, but look at how you feel when you spend money. Look at how you feel when you earn money. If you make money by being tense and I'm going to work really hard, I'm going to be successful, there's a lot of me, a lot of distortion in that. If instead you can let go of that feeling and then do whatever you're doing now, or whatever it is that you believe you should do, but don't do it from this neediness. And the same thing when you spend. You should never spend money if you feel bad about it. I mean, unless you really have to pay money, obviously, but do your best to first feel good before you spend the money. So if you're going to spend money on paying a bill, that bill has to be paid. No matter what I say or how much meditation you do, you will have to pay that bill. That's not going to help that part. But what you can do is you can look at the distortion you have towards paying the bill and really be okay with, I'm going to pay this bill and I'm not going to feel bad about it. So you take away the distortion, the resistance, that pressure, and then you do the same thing when you make money. That's how I would answer your question of, how do I not let money use me and not idolize it? Meaning that I'm not going to give you advice on what to do, but I can give you advice on how to relate to it. I hope that answers your question. Jamie Mills is asking, are you a monk again? No. I disrobed, I don't even remember now. Was it 2016 maybe? Or 15? That's a long time ago. JVB, sure. I really appreciate your insights. I've seen your videos and I appreciate and respect your experience. Yeah, that's fine. It's like I said, I just want to emphasize that I think there's too much, the idea that I sit here as a ex-Buddhist monk and I meditated so much, and then people think, oh, he has wisdom. Obviously, he would know how I should spend my money, or what I should, like, what financial stuff I should get into. Like, no, that's a dumb approach. You shouldn't ask someone who's meditated. I mean, I will have calmness towards money. I can teach you that, but I'm not going to be able to tell you like what stocks you're going to invest in. That's just, why would I know that? Alex is asking, if I meditate a lot, can I see God? Can we really leave the cycle of birth and death by enlightenment? I never talk about stuff like that either, and I'll explain why. I only discuss what you can experience here, now. What you feel in your mind or what you see when you meditate, I never take that for real. I've seen so much stuff and I've experienced so many things that I just can't explain, and I could have spent every single minute from when that happened, like all those years ago to now, trying to figure out what they were, analyzing, trying to come up with answers, explanations, and saying that, well, I saw this was God touching me, so that's what it was, and then I feel special, and I try to come up with reasons why what he was trying to show me, and or she was trying to show me. And no, it's just a waste of time. You can never know for sure. And a story I usually tell is, there was a guy who came up to me one time in Plum Village, and he came up and said, Bante, have you met the squid people? And I said, the squid people? Yeah, they go up and down your spine, and they tell me things like wisdom. And if you meditate a lot, you'll often feel like there's energy moving up and down your spine. And he said all these random general spiritual stuff, like they told him that we're all one and we have to do these things to get like in a better lifetime, right? Like all just general spiritual stuff. And it was the squid people. They are there are creators, kind of, and they had told him some stuff. I can't actually remember exactly what it was. And I tell that in classes, and people say, well, he was obviously nuts. He was like, I mean, come on, squid people moving up and down his spine. You're crazy, right? And I said, how do you know that for sure? Can you be really sure that guy wasn't the only person in the planet who has figured it out, who the squid people actually talk to? And maybe he's going to go out and share that with the world. And he said, no, he's wrong, but my religion, we have it right. And then that guy over there is going to say, you guys are crazy. My religion, we have it right. And then there's another one over there. Well, it's the right religion, but it's the wrong interpretation of that religion. And then this fourth person here is going to say, well, you all guys are idiots because obviously I know the truth. So I never get into stuff like that. Can we see God? I never tried. I never gave that an effort. And if I would have seen anything that I would have experienced as God, which a lot of stuff could have been said to be that, then I just don't pay any attention to it, because I would have wasted all my time after that trying to interpret and trying to understand, instead of being here, instead of experiencing this moment. Because the thing that the sense of self wants to do is anything but being here. There's this constant feeling like, oh, I in your question is the feeling that if I could see God, then something would happen. If I could break the cycle of birth, then something can happen. And also, you assume that there is a cycle of birth. Do you know that for sure? And if you say yes, then I'll ask, how do you know that for sure? Because this guy over here says, you're wrong. And this person over here says that, well, you guys are all wrong because it's not rebirth, it's reincarnation. Or someone else says like, well, we're all just programs in the matrix. And then you get into fighting with everyone. So like anything outside of now, right now, what you're experiencing right now, I don't touch. Because there is no way that I could know that for sure. And there is no way that you could know that for sure. And if you do believe that you do, then ask someone who disagrees with you and have an argument with them and see how you're all going to say, well, my spiritual teacher says this, or I experienced this, and that means that. So I'll give you an example. When you meditate, sometimes you see a bright light and it can be like a disc. If you would do that in a church, it would obviously be the Holy Spirit who came and touched you. It would be God putting his finger on you, and you felt this powerful love and just sereneness and calmness, and you saw the light. So then, literally there's an expression, I saw the light. And if you did this in a Hindu temple, then it would be one of the Hindu gods who came to you. If you did it in a Buddhist meditation center, most people who actually have experience with meditation said, well, that's just a nimitta, which is what happens when you have strong concentration. You see, it can even be like a circular disc showing up. So all these people have their interpretations. I always go towards the ones who just describe what it is. Is it God? Well, it could be. I mean, this disc you feel when you have high concentration, obviously that could be God. It could be Shiva. It could be whatever you want it to be, or Allah, or like whatever you want to come up with. It could be that. But you can't know that for sure. And it's completely pointless trying to figure it out, because that's just going to create more identity, more me. And now you're going to fight with other people instead of saying, I sat, I meditated, I focused, I felt this really strong feeling, and it was light, and I was so relaxed, and I felt so at peace. I've never felt this kind of tranquility in my life ever. And there was also this feeling of love. That's it. You don't need to go any further. Let's see what else. Andreas, and again, I don't want to disrespect you. If you really believe there is rebirth, it could be. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying I cannot know for sure, and I'm saying you cannot know for sure. No one can know. It could be that it all ends. It could be that this is just a moment that we're experiencing over and over, so there actually is no time. Like, there's so many reasons, and it's pointless to discuss them, unless you want to become religious and actually start fighting with other people. But then that's not what I do here. Let's see. Andreas M is asking, hello, how do you think or do to let go of thoughts that are negative? Can you give me an example, Andreas, of what you mean a bit more, and I'll give you an example of how to deal with it. So Jack is asking, what color do you see the most when you reach the threshold of deep meditation? Well, first of all, we'd have to define what is the threshold of deep meditation. That's a really general term, which can mean a lot of things. What color? I mean, usually it's just light. I guess it's white or maybe a yellowish. It tends to affect also what kind of light is around me. But I don't really have a good answer for that one, Jack. JVB. If I may share how I feel in relation to money, sometimes I feel powerless when I don't have much of it, especially when it comes to meeting responsibilities. Yes, I can relate to that. I have a family, and I know exactly what that feels like. Again, thank you so much for your time. JVB, I'm very good, because now we're going from a wide, what should I do, to more a problem that I can deal with. This question I can deal with. So you say, when you feel powerless, you don't have much of it, especially when it comes to meeting responsibilities. That is an uncomfortable feeling. That is distortion. That is, if you watch my videos, that's what I talk about when I talk about distortion, friction, this pressure that you feel. It's just this feeling of uncomfortableness. And if you think about this, so let's say it like this. You have a bill that you need to pay, and you cannot pay it. You're missing, I have no idea. Let's come up with an amount. Let's say it's $10, and you don't have $10, like $50. It depends on much a little. Like, that's so different. For some people, $50 is nothing. For other people, $50 is a monthly salary. So it's difficult for me to say. But let's use the amount $50. You need $50 to pay this bill. Now, that $50 are going to need to be paid. Whatever you do, it needs to be paid. Some people will turn to the law of attraction, think, okay, I'm going to attract it. Okay, we're not trying to do that. What we will do is look at this amount of money that needs to be paid. No matter what you do, you are going to have to pay it. That's just the way it is, right? So when you feel, I need to pay it, what does that feel like? It feels like you said, you feel powerless. You maybe feel worthless, like you don't have enough success, that you are failing in your responsibilities. I'm not sure if you're a father or a brother or part of the family, whatever it is, that you're failing in responsibilities of whatever role you have. You feel that, and that feels painful. But even if you feel that, you still have to pay this money, right? That doesn't change. No matter how bad you feel, you're still going to have to pay the $50. Now, imagine what would happen if you said, okay, I am going to be okay with not having this $50. I'm going to be okay with that it needs to be paid. And right now, I don't see how I'm going to pay it. I don't know where I'm going to get that money. I can't see how I could possibly pay $50. And imagine if you were actually okay with that. What would happen then? Would it mean that all of a sudden you don't need to pay the money? No, you still have to pay the money. Unfortunately, that would be really awesome, because then I'd have no financial problems. Does it mean that by doing this, you're going to have more problems? No, but there is a part of you that feels, I should feel bad. I should punish myself because of this. And when you start looking at this, this is what I call the distortion here is reality. Well, actually, reality is here now. Reality is you need to pay $50. That's not going to change. That's the way it is. Your desire is, I wish I had that money. Neither of these are a problem. You need to pay the money, and that's just fact. It's just money that needs to be paid. Your desire or your wants to pay it, there's nothing wrong with that. Like saying, okay, I'm not part of this world. I'm not going to get attached to financial things and just say off with money. Like, no, it's a good idea to want to pay your bills, because if you don't, you're going to get thrown out of your house and you're going to lose your stuff and you can't eat and you'll live on the street. So it's a good want to be able to pay this. There's nothing wrong with that want. The problem is this thing here, this in between. This is the distortion. If you take the word dukkha, for those of you who have heard some kind of Pali from Buddhism, dukkha is the word translated into suffering. And dukkha was the word you had when you had a wheel and the axle in the wheel had sand in it. Then it would go, there's friction, it's distortion. That's what you have here. Opposite is sukha, the wheel just turned. So we're not trying to change reality. We're not trying to not want reality to be better. We're just trying to let go of this part. And imagine if you still need to pay this $50, when you go out and try to make that $50, if you go out and feel, oh my goodness, I'm so worthless, I'm powerless, I'm a terrible person, I can't live up to my responsibilities as a father, as a son, as a brother, whatever. Or if you go out and say, I need to make $50, and that's okay. What can I do to do that? Which approach do you think is going to be most likely for you to make that $50? The, oh my goodness, I'm such a bad person, I can't do this, I'm terrible, I'm powerless. Or, okay, I cannot see how this is going to be solved, but let's see what we can do about it. Meaning you take away the distortion. Which option do you think is going to make it most likely for you to, first of all, pay the $50? And what option do you think is going to be giving you the most joy in life and giving you to enjoy being here the most? I would actually like to hear an answer on that from people. Let's see. I'm going to read. Okay, people can answer if they want to that question, but the main thing here is that we're not trying to change reality. We're not trying to change how we want reality to be. We're trying to let go of this. And very naturally, when you do that, these things will usually follow. So let's see, Alex is asking, I want to meditate, but I can't because I'm afraid if I give all my time to meditation and still I can't see God, then it's all just a waste of time. I could have used that time in something more productive. Then I think you're asking the wrong person, because I don't meditate to see God. It's just... You heard me talk about that before. There's no way you can prove that. If you really want to do that, then I recommend you go and talk to whatever spiritual teachers you have and listen to what they can say. I can tell you that you can have some absolutely insane, tripping experiences when you're meditating. And if you want to interpret those as God, by all means, do that. There's a lot of people who do. I'm saying you're wasting your time and you're missing this moment because you're going to be so occupied trying to find these things. Again, you're believing, I'm not happy now, but if I could only make $1 million, then I would be happy. No. If I could just get the perfect girlfriend, then I would be happy. And now you're taking it to, no. If I could just meditate and see God, then I'd be happy. It's the same thing. It's just, they call it spiritual materialism. We try to collect things in the spiritual world. So if you want to do that, I go for it, try it and see what that gives you. But I really recommend you to also look at why are you doing it and why you're trying to get out of it. Stephen, are you religious, Alex? Alex is saying very religious. What religion? Hinduism, Alex is saying. Jack is asking, for me, the colors are mostly blue or kind of bluish after 2 to 4 hours of sitting. Asking about difference in experience. Yeah, sometimes there is blue colors. I think it changes if it's dark or light around me, because I think there's different colors at night. I have to look into that. I don't really pay much attention to it. Andreas M is asking, an example might be that you want to do something that is out of your comfort zone and where people say it's too hard, and you listen to their thoughts. So this is perfect. This is a really good question. The thing we had before that Andreas was asking, how do you think or do to let go of thoughts that are negative? So here's my thought on that. You don't let go of the thoughts. The thoughts are not the problem. This is the biggest mistake. I think all of psychology, they give way too much focus on thoughts, and many religions also. So if you think about this, if something happened to you before, let's say, I don't know if you've had a partner, but say you had a partner and they cheated on you and it hurt really bad when that happened. If you would have, when you've thought about that, my partner is with someone, I can take my own example, that's easier. I had a girl who cheated on me when I was in high school, and that hurt me so bad. I was completely crushed. I could barely function. It hurt me so bad. Thinking she was with another guy, that was so painful that I could barely breathe. It was literally difficult to breathe. If I think that thought now, she's with another guy, absolutely nothing happens. It's the same thought. I'm thinking of that same girl with another guy, and nothing happens. It's the same thought, but it doesn't feel bad. So I didn't change a thought, something else changed, right? So the problem is that the thoughts are not the problem. The distortion, the connection you have to those thoughts, that is the problem. So if you're having issues with something that is out of your comfort zone, and when people say it's too hard, what I do when I have my coaching sessions and someone would come with a problem like this, is that I do, let's say it's conflict. You have a problem with conflict, just as an example. I don't know if that's what it is. And then you would do something I call movie meditation. So you sit yourself down, preferably in front of a screen that you are quite close to, and where you can start and stop immediately. That's the main part. You can also do it in front of the TV, of course. And you put on a movie that has a lot of conflict in it. And you sit down, you meditate, you do a breathing meditation, something that gets you calm. And you're breathing, and then you start the movie. And you start, and it starts watching, and then immediately there's a scene of someone coming up and like asking someone, there's a confrontation, and you pause it. And you see what you feel. You feel reality for this person in the movie is there's conflict. Their desire or your desire. You don't want conflict. You don't like that. You don't like the confrontation. So you feel this part. You feel the distortion. You see how it's all over you, how it's just making you feel bad. And then you try to let go of that. You just try to breathe and say, can I let go of that? And then you press start again, and you go a little bit, and then there's more, and you pause it, and you sit with that again. Maybe you'll just get 2 minutes in an hour. It doesn't matter. It's about artificially bringing up this thing that you're having a hard time with. It's not happening to you, but you're still going to react to it on the screen. And once you've watched this enough, you're going to get familiar with that feeling, and you say like, hey, wait a minute. This is pretty dumb. It's not helping me in any way. Why am I doing this? Because you are ultimately the one who is distorting towards this. And by doing this over and over, you'll get better at, first of all, just seeing, okay, that's there. And seeing it's not the thought, but you'll have the feeling is going to be the problem than the thought. And then after that, you'll start looking at how that feels, and you'll be able to let go by focusing on something else. But eventually you'll be able to see it more. And then all of a sudden you'll just like, well, this is dumb, and you just stop doing it. That can take some time, and especially the first times before you figure out how all of this works, it's difficult. So I would take the thing that you find difficult, the thought again, don't think that's the problem. It's how you feel from the thought that's the problem. So then look at something and try to see if you can find that thing about that thought that is difficult, and then work with that. Does that happen, Andreas? JVB is asking, fascinating. Now that I think about it, I think that a distortion in me in relation to money is not trusting myself, my wheel, would move more smoothly if I believed in my God-given abilities more. Absolutely. You see, that's the thing. And I believe this is why law of attraction works, because what they do is they try to attract, they try to feel like they already have it. In a way, it's similar to what I'm saying, but quite different, because they're doing it to get something. But what happens when you take away the distortion is that I have serendipity to the point of just ridiculous. My friends jokingly say that like whenever there is something I want, it just kind of drops in my lap, like smacks me in the face. If there's something I need or want, I just seem to bring those things to me, or those people to me. And I believe that's because I look at the distortion I have towards it, and I just work with letting go of that. And then when I feel, I try to never take action from distortion. I try to first let go of that distortion and then take the action. So what you're saying here is, now that I think about it, I think that a distortion in me in relation to money is not trusting myself. What is not trusting feel like? Distortion. Oh, I'm going to mess up. I'm going to fail. My wheel would turn more smoothly if I believed in my God-given abilities more. Okay, that's like, just put your words to it. God-given abilities, that's perfect. So just to do that, you would look at a movie about someone in financial crisis, and you would look at that feeling, and you would just be okay with the situation being foobar, the situation being absolute crap. And this is not going to change the situation. We're not doing this to change it. We're doing it to be okay with it. And your action is always going to be better when you're calm instead of like this. Good. Stephen, that's what it means to be non-attached. View things as they are. Yeah, that's, well, kind of. The problem is when people say non-attached, they believe they should have no... What happens when people say non-attached is they usually say, okay, so do you want this cake or that cake? And they say, I have no preference. Because they think it's about these things. That's not it. It's not about the things. It's about how you feel towards these things. When you don't feel like I need to have this one or this one, the funny thing is you would still choose one of them. But it wouldn't come from distortion. It would simply come because you think that the flavor of lemon tart tastes better than the flavor of moldy old fungus. I mean, that's even if you become enlightened, I think you're going to make the same choice, I assume. But it's similar, but I don't use terms like that because then people do other things with them. Alex is asking, is getting enlightened and seeing God the same thing? I would say absolutely not. First of all, if you say what is enlightenment, just in Buddhism, I think there's 40 or 50 different definitions of what enlightenment means. According to like the Burmese tradition, then it's a meditation state. When you go through the jhanas, a cycle, then you reach the first stage of enlightenment. That's something that's quite easy to do, and you can do that in a few weeks. According to the Theravadan, more old school text temple monks, then like it would be completely different. You couldn't kill a fly. It's about limited action. You can't do certain things. Other things, traditions say that when you have certain stages of enlightenment, you can't think certain thoughts. Others give you special powers. So people tend to use terms like enlightenment, like, oh, obviously enlightenment, this is what it... No one even can agree on what enlightenment means. There's so many different definitions. And seeing God, what is God? Does God exist? I mean, completely besides the point for me. For me, enlightenment, again, this is my definition, is when you let go of the distortion and you're not pushing or pulling, then the sense of self disappears. You don't feel like you are there. Things are just happening, and it's the most calm state that you can be in. It's not even a state. It's something different. There's nothing you need to do. You are okay. The distortion that you think, oh, I need to get over there to be okay, that is gone. So you just take action because it's what you believe you should do. Not because you need to do it, not because you believe your life is going to be so much better over here and this discomfort is going to disappear. So I would say no. And again, you'd have to ask yourself, which definition of enlightenment are you using here? Because there's so many. Well, it's getting quite late. Really interesting questions today. And like I said, it's always fun when these come up. I hope you can see what I'm saying. I'm not saying these things to offend you. I'm not saying these things to say you're wrong being religious. Absolutely not. If you're religious, then be religious. What I'm saying is that I don't work with that. And if you want to work with that, then there's other people who can do that. I work with just this distortion towards these things. And you can keep your religions, you can keep all your beliefs. It doesn't matter. I just they just don't help with doing what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to teach you to do, which is basically to feel good. I see there's some quick things that came up here. Thanks for tonight's session. Have a pleasant weekend and good night. Thank you, Jack, JVB. But if I may touch on this further, what are your thoughts if I become too confident in myself in relation to attaining money to the point where I get arrogant? Well, then you have distortion. Confident is distortion, and arrogant is distortion. Again, we're not doing either or. We're not trying to be, oh my goodness, I'm so terrible. We're also not going to be, oh yeah, I'm the boss. I'm going to nail this. Like, I'm going to make so much money. That's distortion. Both of those things are distortion. It's not positive or negative we're talking about. We're taking away positive and negative completely. We're just taking away the distortion and being okay with it. But what is? Equanimity is a good word to use here. Julian Katzenberger, do you think meditation helps for finding someone's purpose, etc.? Helps in choosing right decisions? It helps in the sense that you can let go of the distortions towards needing to find the answer. Meaning that when you let go of the belief that you need to find your purpose. I used to think I went to become a monk because I was going to find my purpose, and I really looked for that. Now I don't have a purpose anymore, and it doesn't really matter. I can be okay without a purpose. Whatever I do will be okay. So it's the ultimate thing that will give you is not to find your purpose, but to find that you don't need a purpose. You can just do whatever you feel like. And when you feel that way, then very likely you'll find something that you enjoy doing really much, and that helps other people or does whatever it is you want it to do. But it's not about finding your purpose. It's about taking away the part that thinks it needs to find your purpose. Again, if you want to find your purpose, then we're talking about personal development. That's something else, which is why I try to separate this. JVB, thank you. Looking forward to your next live session. I hope it wasn't a burden. Absolutely not, JVB. I enjoy these questions, and they're good for me because it makes me clarify what I mean. And I really don't want to offend people, so it's good you ask the questions so that I can, because I take it that you're quite religious, and then you can take that and I can try to give it to you without offending you, because that's not my desire. I just want you to be happy and enjoy yourself, and I show what I believe is going to make that. Thank you for that answer. It's good that you're seeking, Alex. Nice. Thank you, everyone. I will see everyone back on Monday. Monday we have guided meditation, so then I'll do a guided sitting, but there's also questions and answers afterwards. Thank you, and have a good weekend.